You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. Man, we are here once again. Today, man, we have another amazing show. We're going to have a special guest on today. It's all about life, fitness, and health. And man, Jeff Laters is an awesome guy. He started a business called Later Life. You can go to the website, jefflater.com. We're going to talk about Later lifestyle. But first and foremost, I want to welcome you, Jeff, to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to chat.
So it's great to have you on, man. First and foremost, give us a little bit of your back history. What inspired you to be involved in fitness and also create this brand?
Yeah, well, my history is, or my story is a little bit different than most. I think a lot of people that are in the fitness industry kind of knew that they wanted to do that right away. And I always had a passion for it from a young age, but I never viewed it as a career. It was something that, it's kind of like something that you do on the side as you're going to school or, become a personal trainer to pick up extra money, stuff like that. And so I went to college and got into the corporate world, and I would do personal training on the side just for fun. And I pursued my own kind of fitness and even got into bodybuilding and pursued that pretty heavily. And people would come to me for help with nutrition and stuff like that. And for probably the first 50, 60 people, I never charged them any money because I didn't feel like I could. It was like imposter syndrome. I just didn't feel like I was worthy of charging anybody money. I thought everybody knows this stuff, right? But so that's kind of how I got started. I helped a guy actually compete. And he started telling all his friends, and he won, which was that was a good result, and the word just kind of spread, and it kind of took off. And my wife did this with me, and that's over 10 years ago, and we've helped over 6,000 people to date, and have a team of about 15 now, and it's something that we're blessed to be able to do every day.
And with the style of your brand, I know on your website it says, not just another fitness company. What kind of separated your style when you're working with your clients?
We've gone through an evolution, to say the least. If you were to Google me, you'd find all sorts of bodybuilding pictures, because that's kind of my history. I turned professional in 2018. Actually immediately retired at that point because I competed as an amateur for over a decade, did 40 competitions. And so that's kind of who we worked with. We worked with a lot of bodybuilders when we first started. And I've worked with, thousands to date. And it's something we're still very passionate about, but being exposed to that world also, it made me realize how harsh and how strict and how in some situations dangerous it can be. And so it's really helped us try and find a better balance with things so we can live a lifestyle rather than do something so extreme as getting down to single digit body fat percentages and getting on stage. I still love it, but it's in my past. I haven't competed for over 4 years. And we do still help some, but the majority that we work with, we're just trying to help them find a good balance with health and fitness and find something that's sustainable. I'm really very much against the fad, quick fix type of diets that you see over and over and over again. And we try to find something that's more sustainable, that allows people to eat the foods that they love and go out to restaurants with their family and friends and still be able to live a fit life. And I believe that's possible. And that's what we try to show people.
Once again, this time, Refocused Radio, talking to our guest today, Jeff Later. And you can go to his personal website, jefflater.com. And we're talking about his company, his business, Later Lifestyle. When people are signing up for just your services, you do a lot of things. It's not just, working out and gym life. You do coaching as well, but you do personalized, independent, tailor-made services as well. What if I'm the new one? I've never done fitness before. I don't know the safety things I need to know to be educated on. What's the first step when I talk to someone like you?
Well, we always try to meet you where you're at. So wherever you're at in your fitness journey, whether you're just starting, never set foot in the gym, or you're a veteran, we try to cater everything to where you're at. And that's with food and with exercise. So if you're really unfamiliar with the gym, then we would start very, very slowly and maybe even start with home workouts. With the food side of things, everything is tailored to each person, and that's not just like according to age, height, weight, and activity level. It's things like, what are your food preferences? Do you have any food allergies? Like what's your dieting history? What's your daily schedule like? Are you on the go a lot? What time do you get up in the morning? And that really helps us tailor it. And then as the body changes, as they start responding, we continually modify the food intake and the exercise so that they keep responding instead of hitting a plateau and getting frustrated and stopped. But as the body changes, the plan needs to change. So it's kind of a constant effort to stay on top of it and keep them responsive. But in addition to that too, like the biggest thing that I think that has happened in the evolution of our company is the realization that you can't just focus on food and exercise. I mean, that's what everybody does. But still, we're just getting worse. The obesity epidemic is getting worse and worse and worse every single year. But there's more and more diets that come out every year. So something's missing. And it really is, in our belief, it's what's going on between the ears. It's our mindset. And the things, a lot of people have limiting beliefs and don't end up self-sabotaging and end up making any diet that they do not work just because of what happens with our mindset. And so that's a big part of what we do. And all my coaches and myself included are all life coach, performance coach certified. And so that's a big part of the actual coaching rather than being somebody that just adjusts a meal plan or gives a workout assignment.
And that's unique. That's awesome that it's not just fitness services, but it's also coaching for the mind. Now, give a little preview, like a demo. So if I'm someone that is going to work with you and exercise and be in the gym and stuff, but you also going to do the coaching part, what's some of the teasers that you work with your clients? Do you just interview them first, see where they are mentally? Or is there a template?
Yeah, well, we have some, I mean, if we're starting from scratch, we got to have some sort of structure and framework. So we do have a framework for our system. We call it the True Shift method. But we have a variety of techniques that we use, but there has to be a lot of interaction, right? Because in fact, we call it relationship style or relationship based coaching, because if we don't know the person, then we're not really going to be able to help them, right? Because so many of us have all these different narratives that go on in our head, and we don't always communicate those, or sometimes we don't feel like we can open up to somebody, right? And it could be that like there's something traumatic happened in their youth, and that's limiting their belief about what they can accomplish in anything in life, let alone their fitness, right? So we do have we have a very thorough questionnaire, but we do also have an interview when we first start, and then we have regular calls, usually Zoom calls, that allow us to further that relationship, get to know what's going on, what battles and what challenges they're facing, and give them tools and resources to get through those. And that's really it really is kind of different for each person, and kind of meeting them where they're at. But those things always happen for sure.
And for those who are a little bit more experienced in the fitness world, and they are aspiring to be a bodybuilder like you were in the past, is that something that you recommend people to jump right into, or do you kind of caution them to kind of take a little bit of recommendation first?
It's almost like you teed that up for me, because I mean, that's exactly our method. We want to, in fact, I won't put somebody on stage if they're brand new to fitness or even any type of dieting whatsoever. You see that a lot, unfortunately, in the industry, where people they'll find somebody to train them, to coach them, to get on stage because they saw pictures on Instagram of their friend and they're like, oh, that looks awesome. I want to look like that. What do I need to do? And so they find someone that they can pay, and they'll help them get ready. They jump right into it, and they could possibly do really, really well. And I've seen this happen. But then what happens after is life-changing in a very negative way for so many people. And I've seen this happen. It's kind of what's turned me off to the industry in a lot of ways, because of the extremes that you put your body through. And it affects your metabolism, affects your hormones, affects your body image, it affects your relationship with food. It can be a very negative thing if you're not prepared for it. And so, yeah, we would want to make sure that you have the lifestyle established first, that you have some knowledge about food, about nutrition, that the mindset is there first. And then you can really push yourself for a challenge like that to get on stage. And it'll make it so that, when you get that great achievement, get down, to a really low body fat percentage, that when that goal has come and gone, that what you go back to is the lifestyle that you learned here, not what you consider to be normal, which the average normal American diet is not very healthy, right? And that causes a lot of people to gain weight in a dramatic fashion that I don't think most people are aware of how fast it can come on. But I've seen people gain 30 pounds in 3 days coming out of a show. It's really dangerous.
Man, once again, listen, I'm Refocus Radio, talking to Jeff Later. And man, Jeff, when people are learning about you and your history with fitness competition, I think that's a unique story. What's some of the experiences that you share with your clients that are maybe not the most positive, but it's like a learning tool to kind of help them with their fitness journey?
Oh man, I've got so many stories, but I try not to share too many about other people, but I'll share one about me. My very first time I got on stage, and I had been working out for basically all my life. I didn't get on stage until I was 30, and it was still a new unique experience. Doing all the preparation, I was doing 2 hours of cardio every single day, doing more distance-wise training than somebody getting ready for a marathon would, and that's some people aren't aware of how much cardio bodybuilders do, but we do a lot. Not eating very much food, and then training on top of that, weight training. And so when I got on stage, and the coach that I was working with at the time had me completely restrict sodium for the last week going up to the show. That's supposed to help kind of dehydrate you, makes the skin look thinner, makes you look more defined. There's a lot of other negative things that come with that, but we'll get to that. We take an over-the-counter diuretic that will help expel even more water. And then you get up on stage and you actually stop drinking water the night before. And you get on stage, don't drink water all day. And the diet's been extremely strict all this time. Then the next day, typically what most people do, a lot of people do, especially the first time, is they'll start to stockpile all these foods that they weren't able to eat while they were getting ready. So it's like, you get Oreos and, all sorts of treats and sweets and maybe mom's apple pie or whatever. And so I did that. And I remember the next day, so they're always on a Saturday is usually when the days of the competition are. And Saturday night, everyone goes out for a big meal, and that's pretty normal. But mine kept going. So the next day, Sunday, kept eating all these foods, and I had all these foods at home that were just staring me in the face, ready for that day. And I indulged. And at my very first show, I was 175 pounds the morning of the competition. And I think by Monday, I was 195 pounds. So I'd already gained 20 pounds. Now, a lot of that was water, but some of it was fat already too. And then I think by Wednesday, I probably should have been admitted to the hospital at that point because I was about 212 pounds and my legs were so swollen, so full of water, you couldn't see my ankle bones or my knee bones. And it hurt to walk because there was so much pressure in my legs, and I had the one and only migraine of my entire life. I remember I was at work and I had to leave. I remember driving home was difficult, and I had to go. I think I went into the bathroom and like try to put on a bath, and with the lights out because the light hurt my eyes because I had a migraine. And I probably should have been admitted to the hospital, but that was a really bad experience of my own.
And that sounds very extreme, and it sounds like the competition part is like it can almost consume a person if they're not careful.
Oh yeah.
Is that has any part of you wanting to get out and kind of change, shift gears to something else?
Not at that point. No. I kind of like caught the bug. Like, even though I did gain all that weight, they're like, oh yeah, it's normal. It happens. It shouldn't happen, as I've learned, but it does happen frequently just because people aren't prepared for it. But no, it wasn't until a few years later where I almost quit. I almost gave it up. And it's because I have a very OCD personality. And so I actually didn't do anything. I didn't eat anything other than what was on my very specific and assigned meal plan for over 2 years. So I didn't have any sort of like what most people would call a cheat meal for over 2 years. Now, do you need to have a burger? Do you need to have pizza? Do you need to have candy? No, you don't need that stuff. But it really kind of messed with my head a little bit because I was so strict. So I was just holding on too tight, so to speak. And I remember by the time I competed, I was competing every year at that point. By the time I got to the day of the show, I just wanted it to be over with. I don't even care. I was at the California State Championships. I don't even care about the show. I don't want to do it. I don't even want to be here. Let's just get on stage so I can be done with this. And I'm never going to do this again. And that was my mentality. And I felt that way for about 2 weeks after the show too. And I did okay. I think I took second, something like that. And then I just realized that I was taking the wrong approach. And it was a competition that my wife had done with me. And she didn't not cheat like me. She would have a cheat meal here and there, but she was still holding on pretty tight too. So we were kind of going through it together. And we both were burnt out, and we're just this isn't for us. Why are we doing this to ourselves? This is awful. And then we kind of figured out that we were just not doing it right. And so we obviously we didn't stop. We kept going, but we had to go through that that hard learning process initially to figure that out.
So when you started your business, your company, Layer Life Lifestyle, was that more of a time to give back to the community and help educate people on fitness? Because it sounds like it's not like you just wanted to stop everything. It's just that it was almost, I won't put words in my mouth, was it more so that you was just time to move forward to something new?
Well, so when I said stop, it was more about me stopping competing myself, right? And it wasn't about helping other people, because it wasn't until I had been competing for years before I actually started coaching people. I had done personal training, but coaching and personal training are completely different, in my opinion, at least. And so when we formed Later Lifestyle, we had no vision. We didn't know what we were going to do with it. We were just well, people are starting to pay for us. We probably need to form a company and make this legit. I don't want to get the IRS coming after me or something like that. So we formed a company and we're just I don't know, we'll figure it out. And so I had a full-time job. My wife had a full-time job, and we would meet with people in person. We actually met with people at our kitchen table after work from about 5 p.m. till 8 o'clock at night. And then after that, I would work on their programs and send them out. And we would do this Monday through Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday, we would meet with people all day. And so we had about 80 to 100 clients that we were trying to manage, as well as full-time jobs and being parents to 3 daughters. So we were working nonstop. I mean, it was really, really hectic and stressful, but we loved it. And the reason why we started it, honestly, was because of what we observed. It was just why? And honestly, at first we were just this stuff is common sense. How come people don't know this? And we quickly realized that it's not. And then we started finding out all these other things that they were doing. Whoa, what are you guys doing? We got to stop this. And so it's really cool to be able to help other people. And it's way more fulfilling than pursuing my own fitness. But that's what got us started, is pursuing our own fitness journey.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you had a demand of people who respected your craft and everything that you were doing. It was time to expand and turn into a legit business, like you said. Now, be an entrepreneur, man. You now are in a situation where, okay, you got to market, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to have a website, you got to be the tech guy, you got to be the caller, you got to be customer service. Yeah. What was that like in the beginning? Was it natural for you all? Because it sounds like y'all just naturally just really on top of your stuff. What was that?
I have an interesting background business-wise. My degrees really didn't provide me any sort of help, but what I ended up going into as a job was kind of on the technical side. So I wasn't like a computer programmer or anything, but I was a project manager. And so I worked with a lot of programmers, and I developed some technical skills in that process. And that actually really helped me when we first started. So I was able to get a website going. It was a little rough at first, for sure, but we got it going and actually designed our own logo, which I got refined by somebody else later. And that really kind of helped get things going. But I wouldn't say we were natural entrepreneurs. We didn't know what we were doing. And so I really immersed myself in book after book after book. And I would try and I finally started getting business coaching. First couple ones I worked with weren't that helpful, but they did provide some foundational help. And then I've just been a part of masterminds and entrepreneur groups, and I'm continually doing that to this day. And I still probably wear too many hats in my business, but I'm lucky enough to have a team around me that is passionate about what we're doing, and they're just fantastic, and that's why we're able to impact as many people as we do.
Listen to I'm Refocused Radio. I'm talking to Jeff Lehrer. Go to his website, jefflehrer.com. He's the owner of Lehrer Lifestyle. And man, everything that you do, I went to your website, looked things over, and everything is just really like precision. It's clean, it's neat, it's organized, and as it always should be. But my point is, the brand always speaks for itself. When someone just kind of stumble upon your website, okay, let me check this guy out. It's always about presentation. So when you are just putting yourself out there as a business owner, how important is it for you to always have that presentation intact before people meet you on day one?
It's actually something that's been important to me from day one. We actually have a lot of software that we use on the back end, but I've been extremely picky about what we use. In fact, we didn't have an app until actually we're coming up on 2 years, which is kind of late, because apps have been around for a lot of time. You'll see one-off teams, like one personal trainer or coach that has their own app. Usually it's just a white labeled thing, but we evaluated 24 different apps that we could potentially use, and none of them quite fit. And so it wasn't until we found one that we could use and work with a developer to modify it in a way that would serve us in the way that we needed it to, that we finally got an app. And it's still constantly being worked on. But I appreciate the kind words about our website, because I'm not 100% happy with it. There's always different things. If I looked at it every day, I would probably change something on it every single day. But it's important to me to present a professional experience for other people. And I think starting out, maybe some of that was a little bit of paranoia, maybe feeling like a little bit of an imposter. Like I at least want to look like I'm professional. Maybe I don't know anything. Maybe I'm just some idiot like that is an imposter, but I at least want my stuff to look professional. And I certainly didn't know what I know now when I first started, but I kind of built upon it, and I've tried to remain open-minded with everything and keep that mindset of like, I need to always be learning, because especially with the human body, there is so much to know, and I will never, ever know it all. No one will. There are a lot of people that do think they do. And those are people you need to avoid. You need to run away from those people. If they think they know everything, those are not people you want to be associated with, because I hear this from other people. It's like, the more you find out, the more you know, the more you realize how little you know. And that's definitely something that I've experienced as I've grown over the years doing this.
And with time wrapping up real quick, one more question for you. With your business, Lehrer Lifestyle, the brand is looking sharp, is looking clean. But what has been the most rewarding part of being, in charge of your own brand and developing it and watching it grow over time?
There's the outward impact to the people that we work with. But, building this team, I think it's, the team members themselves. I think, to see so many people being positively impacted. I have some single moms that work for me that are 100% dependent or independent now. And they live a comfortable life because of this company. And that's something that means a lot to me. And it's probably what stresses me out the most, but just in being in charge of a business is like, I am responsible for their livelihood. And so I need to make sure that our company is healthy and that we're always moving forward and growing so that they're taken care of. And it's the most stressful part, but it's also the most rewarding part.
And man, I have to ask this last question. If someone is in a position where they are thinking about starting their own fitness company themselves, just generally speaking, what words of wisdom will you give to them based on what you learned so far?
You have to be very relentless at first. I mean, it's a very saturated market. There's so much competition, but you have to be yourself. I think so many people try to copy other people and it doesn't come across as genuine, and they're not even comfortable doing it, but they do it because they think that's what's going to make them money. And that's one thing I guess that I've tried to do from day one, just because my impression of the fitness industry is not a positive one. I think it's not really helping people. If you look at the direction we're not going forward, we're going backwards. And I think it's because of what is mostly being said out there. People are getting marketed to, and they're getting preyed upon with marketing tactics that are very sleazy. And so I would tell them, and maybe this is just my personal opinion, but if you're doing this for the right reasons and you have morals, then you would never go down that route. You would really, truly try to help people. You need to care more about them. You need to care about making money, and then the money will come.
Awesome.
You need to make them the priority.
That's the key right there. And once again, man, having a great time talking to our guest today, Jeff Lader. You can go to his website, that's jefflader.com, and his amazing brand, Lader Lifestyle. Man, first and foremost, what is the call to action you want to give our audience that they can take once they're done hearing this interview?
You know, I'm not selling anything, but if they want to follow me on Instagram, I try to put out as much information and value there as I can every single day. And my Instagram handle is just Jeff Lader, JEFFLATER altogether. And that's the best. If they want to reach out to me there, they can just shoot me a DM there. But that's probably the best place to get more content from me and any tips or tricks that they want to learn.
Awesome, man. Thank you to Jeff Lader be on the show, talking about his amazing business, Lader Lifestyle. Go to his website, his personal website, jefflader.com. I want to say thank you again, taking time in your schedule to talk to I'm Refocused Radio today.
Thank you for having me. This has been great.